Hey, Gordon Atkinson here, real life preacher, and I'm back with my fourth and final video on the subject of hell. In the first video, I kind of introduced the situation and the problem as I saw it, and told you that I was seeking to know what the New Testament had to say about hell because it's such a disturbing doctrine. My feeling is the New Testament would need to be very clear on the subject of hell before we would develop a very detailed idea of what went on there. And then we looked at what the Bible had to say together. I offered some thoughts on that, and now I'm going to offer to you what I think is a new way to think about the question. We Christians have a tendency to gravitate toward questions which, interestingly, are kind of the religious equivalent of metaphysical physics questions. Philosophy questions. We want to know who's going to hell and who isn't. That's a big question for us. So we sit around, and we're saying, what about the Buddhists? Are the Buddhists going to hell? And we talk and talk. What about that guy? Those people over there? No, not those. The ones behind them. Those, are they going to hell? No, I think maybe Dave's going to hell. And we just, if you ever just would listen to us, it's just such a meaningless conversation because it's not like God gives a damn what you and I say about what's going to happen to some other group of people. And it's like theological triangulation in a way. You and I are going to sit here and figure out what's going on between God and that guy. And I think the question is worthless. I don't think it's real. I think there's another question that we don't ask. So the important question is not, are Buddhists going to hell? The question is, how are you going to treat the Buddhist family that just moved in next door to you? That is the only question that matters because it's a question rooted in real life and living. And by the way, it's not a question that reduces people to vast generalizations as though that's how God deals with people in huge, giant chunks, like all the Buddhists and all this person. So that's the question. How will you treat people of other faiths or people of no faith at all? How will you treat them? And you see, on this question, I think the New Testament does give us some guidance. We can't find in the New Testament anywhere where we get detailed, clear instructions about whether hell exists. That's my feeling, but let's just be conservative here. We do hear that hell exists, but the duration of hell, what happens at hell, and who's going to hell are all pretty unclear. Actually, that last one's fairly clear. Will be religious people, probably the ones who are sitting around trying to figure out who else is going to hell and not helping people. And so we don't know what's what with hell, but we definitely have some good modeling in the New Testament for how we should treat people of other religions. You ever thought about doing that? Read the New Testament and just see, how did Jesus and his friends treat people of other religions? Three excellent examples in the Gospels. Jesus meets a centurion who asks him to heal his daughter. This is in Capernaum. In no place does it say that this centurion in any way became Jewish, became Christian. He couldn't even have become Christian because there was no such thing yet. He made no move whatsoever theologically to do anything. He simply asked Jesus to heal his slave. Actually, it wasn't a daughter, it was a slave. And Jesus affirmed that very small measure of faith he had and let him go right on his way. Jesus didn't seem worried about him. Jesus didn't seem concerned that this guy's going to march off the pages of the Bible and then end up going straight to hell. And then there's the Gadarene demoniac. Jesus meets this Gadarene demoniac on the south side of the Sea of Galilee, and also his entire Gentile community. These are people totally outside the Jewish tradition. Jesus heals him and sends him back to his people to tell them what happened. But these people don't become Jews or Christians. We never hear from them again. Jesus doesn't seem worried and uptight about this. There's an entire village full of people away from the worship of God as far as he knows. Jesus is very relaxed about that. And how about the Syrophoenician woman, or the woman from Tyre and Sidon? Same event. Matthew tells one, Mark tells the other. This is definitely a woman from outside the tradition. Does Jesus appear to be filled with anxiety and fearful about what's going to happen to her? No, he's not. He's extremely gentle. He makes no religious demands on these people at all. Simply loves them and affirms what faith he can find in them. Just this germ of faith. What about moving to the book of Acts? Let's examine the kerygma of the early church. The kerygma is a religious scholars' term for the preached message, the kind of the original chunk of doctrine that the church would offer. Listen to the sermon that Peter preached, the first Christian sermon ever. See if you can find the place where Peter says to everyone, and by the way, if you don't become a Christian, you're going to hell. He didn't. He did not say it. And he never said it, nor did anyone else in Acts. You'll look in vain. All the missionary journeys of Paul tells the story of their faith. He's willing to tell his story and what happened to Christ, but never once do they seem uptight, frightened, fearful, nor do they ever talk about people going to hell. Maybe the nicest example of this to me is Paul in Athens. Acts 17. Paul marches into Athens. It's a total pagan culture from his point of view, and nothing but philosophers and Greek gods, the statues of Greek gods everywhere. And Paul says, I see that you're very religious people. Look at all these statues out here. Now here's one statue that you have to the unknown God. I think maybe that God is my God. Let me tell you about my God. And Paul tells his story. Now he's laughed out of the agora, but the Areopagus, but still he told his story, and he didn't seem burdened again. It didn't seem to him like people are going to go to hell. That was certainly not any kind of an emphasis on anyone's message. And in fact, as I said, he found a way to affirm what religion he found there. See, it's my feeling that you have two choices when it comes to the Buddhist family next door. You can decide that they're going to hell, and then you can go and try and convert them. In which case you'll fail, and then you're going to feel bad. Or you can do what most of us do, which is we're afraid to even address the subject because we're afraid they might go to hell, and so just put off meeting them at all. Or you can knock on the door and say, hi, I want to meet you and get to know these people who are people first. And if they are Buddhists, then ask about their faith and their religion and hear their story and find the common ground in it and what beauty is there. And there's great beauty in other religions. And then when you're asked, you can tell your story. Because when people have a relationship and are telling their stories about what they believe and how they see the world, well, that's called friendship. And it's only in the context of relationship that we're going to deal well with religious plurality in our world. I mean, haven't we had enough of people saying others are going to go to hell? I mean, haven't the children of Abraham, the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians, I mean, haven't these groups done enough damage with their religious exclusivity? I mean, I say it's time to model ourselves after what Jesus and the friends of Jesus did. And so that's my final conclusion here. Don't even ask the question, who's going to hell? Just read the New Testament and ask the question, how should I treat people who are not like me? Ask that question, seek its answer, and I think that you'll do well. And I think we'll all be in a better place. Okay, that's the final video. Signing off, 8 minutes and 42 seconds. I didn't make it, but I didn't even try this time because I really wanted to have this chance to talk to you. It's been fun, like it always is, and I'm sure I'll do some more videos again someday. All right, thanks.